his client, Zatmari Arias? Did I say that correctly? Zatmari Arias. The owner of property located at 34 Dorchester Drive, who's requesting a special exception approval under section 413.D to allow a family daycare to operate at the property, subject to the standards required under section 625.A. Before we begin, I'll introduce the people at the table that opposite me is Michelle Bear, who is a borough's manager, and Jeffrey Hogue, who is from Kraft and is the residential zoning officer. And John Larkin is a member, alternate member of the zoning hearing board. Najla Batish is a member of the zoning hearing board. Bob Ullman is a member of the zoning hearing board. Council is Dan Becker, and I'm David Rothmal. I'm the chairman of the zoning hearing board. And Mr. Becker is going to take over now and tell us how we're going to proceed today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I see, just for the record, there are a number of apparently neighbors, which we'll talk a little bit about more in a moment, for this particular hearing this afternoon. But let me first go back through and explain to you how the hearing will work today. So at a zoning hearing is a quasi-judicial hearing. What that means is that there will be the opportunity for those people, the applicant, and for those people who request standing, which again we'll talk about a little more in a moment, to present evidence. They can do that by testimony, they can do that by presenting exhibits. It's the burden of proof today is the applicant's, and the applicant, is that Maria? Is that correct? Zatmari Arias is here with her attorney, Mr. Mubby, who will ask her questions and help her and assist her to move forward with the particular testimony and exhibits today. At the conclusion of their testimony, or any other witnesses that they may call, the board members and I, and anybody with standing will have the opportunity to also ask questions. After all of the testimony has been presented, to the extent there's anybody who has requested standing and is granted standing, they'll have the opportunity to do the same, and they'll be subject to cross-examination as well. If you're just here for the purpose of hearing what's going on, and you would like to make a statement to the board to explain why you either are in support or opposed to it, you can have the opportunity to do that as well. But then you're not asking for standing, you're just letting us know how you feel. If you would like standing, what standing does, it gives you the opportunity to get a copy of the decision. It gives you rights then of appeal as well. Does everybody understand kind of where we're going with this? Does anybody have any questions so far? Mr. Mother, you're good so far? All right. So let's just go around here real quickly, and let me ask to remember. So what I'm going to ask is if anybody wants standing. Standing means you have the opportunity to get a copy of the decision. Not that you couldn't get that, otherwise you can through right to know law request, but you'd be on the list, and it'll give you the opportunity, if you care to do so, to appeal. It'll also give you the opportunity to enter your own evidence and testimony and exhibits, but you're subject then to the cross-examination. If you just want to make the statement, you don't have to have standing, you can give you the opportunity to do that. At this point, is there anybody here that wishes to have standing other than, of course, the applicant? Okay, so looking around the room, and I know for the record there's nobody that's interested in standing, so what we will do then is we will proceed then with the hearing with that understanding. I guess at this point we've gone through all we need to go through for now, and I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
You ran out of your speech and you
didn't
know what to say.
I did. I was kind of like, I was expecting somebody to be asking for standing, so that's exactly what happened. So
that means that Mr. Mubby is up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we swear in your witness?
Sure.
I believe you have one, Mr. Mubby?
That's correct.
All right, and at the same time, we'll swear in Michelle Bear, who is from the borough, and also Jeff as well. So if you guys can all raise your right hand, face the stenographer.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Yes.
Okay, now it's up to Chris.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the synopsis of the application. I think that's correct. Just to reiterate, We're here today seeking a special exception under the zoning ordinance for my client to operate a family daycare out of her home. I have one witness today, that will be Ms. Arias. So without any further ado, Ms. Arias has already been sworn. Ms. Arias, just again state your name for the record, please.
Is that Mary Arias?
All right. And where do you currently reside?
34 Dorchester Drive in Wyomissing, PA.
Okay. And who else lives there with you currently?
So currently it's just my husband and my 2 children and myself.
And 34 Dorchester, that's the property that we're here discussing. Is that correct? All right. And I want to show you what's.
You all are talking to one another. We can't hear you. We need to
Ms. Arias,
speak up.
just keep your voice up.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. I want to refer you to what's been marked as applicant's exhibit number 1 in the packet. Is that a copy of your deed for the property?
Yes.
Okay. And the deed is dated September 25th, 2024, correct?
The closing was on October 4th. I don't know why.
But the deed date,
Yeah.
what's listed on the deed is September 25th,
Yeah.
is that correct?
That is
All right, and it shows that you and another woman, Juana Tejeda, are the owners of the property?
That's correct.
Who is Juana Tejeda to you?
She is my mother.
Okay. Can you please describe for the board what's presently located at the property?
Like my home.
Is-
It's just my home currently.
All right.
Houses.
Single-family residence?
Yes.
What's the surrounding neighborhood like?
More homes. All single family homes.
All right. I want to show you what's been marked as applicant's exhibit number 2 in the packet. Can you tell the board what that shows?
Yes, so that pretty much shows the 2 rooms that I would like to create the family daycare would be the living room and the dining room, which are together.
Okay, so we're referring to exhibit number 2, the first page of exhibit number 2. Is that the first floor of your home?
Yes.
All right. And you indicated that at the top of the page, the living room and the dining room.
Yes.
And that's primarily where you would conduct operations?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then the second page is at
Mr.
the.
Mundy, just excuse me for a moment. Because we don't have them electronically, do you have some so the residents can also take a look at those as we're going through them? Do you have extra copies?
That wasn't the
There-
original
the-
application.
The stenographer, I think, has a copy. Could we take
Do
that?
we have any other extra copies?
I don't have any extra. The board has all my extra.
I can share, and we can give them to.
We can share, and we can.
Yeah, so maybe they can just pass them around then so that they can see the exhibits.
I'm
Thank
gonna,
you.
I'll hold on to it. Borrow one more. I can hold my own. Yeah, there you go.
What do you set for?
I'll work on those.
Hold on one second.
All the homes are labeled.
Would be easier if I sat over there with the other residents.
That's up to you. That is entirely up to you.
Okay, Chris, please proceed.
All right, and Ms. Arias, the second page of exhibit number 2, is that the second floor of the home? Shows the layout here.
So it's a ranch, but we do have 2 steps. So yeah, those are the bedrooms.
Okay. In preparation for the hearing today, did you take pictures of your property?
Like the outside?
Pictures of your home?
Yeah.
Okay, you did. So I'll refer to you what's marked as applicant's exhibit number 3. Are those pictures of your home,
Yes.
both the interior and exterior?
Yes.
All right.
That's correct.
Can you just take us through the pictures, tell the board what's on each one?
Okay.
Start with the first picture.
So the first one is currently the living room. That's where I would like to do like the main room, if allowed, for the family daycare. And then, should I switch over to the second?
Yep, go to the second page.
So the second page is the same living room, and then the third page, that's technically the dining room area, which I currently have as a play area right now. It's where my son plays all day.
Okay. And the next picture is
And,
that more of the same?
Yeah, it's the same, it's the play area currently.
Flipping to the next photo, which is an exterior, the first exterior photo, what are we looking at?
So in this photo, we're looking at my garage and 2 parking spaces.
And then the next page, is that another picture of the same area?
Same area. And the next page, that's the front of the home.
And the next page is another picture of the front of the home. The next page with the trampoline, what are we looking at?
That's currently our backyard. We just put that up this weekend.
Okay. And again, the next page,
The backyard.
and the next page is another picture of the backyard, is that correct?
Yeah, backyard in different angles.
Okay, more of the same. How would you describe the present condition of your home? Is it in good condition?
Yes, my home is in really good condition.
No, nothing dangerous, is that correct? Alright. Now, we referenced that you'd like to conduct a daycare operation at your home. But in your own words, explain to the board what you would like to do at your home that brings you before them today.
So what I'm currently planning is to have a family-centered daycare, which pretty much provide the children in the community a place where they can come that's safe and pretty much get the individual care. Place where they're more focused, like one-on-one. Something small, make them feel at home, pretty much.
Now, does the state have licensing requirements with respect to daycares?
Yes, the first step in order to get all those licenses is to obtain an occupancy permit. Once you obtain that, then you get all the state certifications and licensing. There's
And-
multiple courses that follow.
And before you begin any type of operation, will you obtain the license from the state
Yes,
and meet all of their requirements?
yes.
All right. Do you intend to have any employees as part of this daycare?
No, not at this time.
So it will just be you?
Yes.
All right. How many children do you anticipate taking care of at any one time?
So the state has different ratios. I have a form here. So it all depends on the age of the children, but the most one person can take care of is 6. And to have a family daycare, 6 is the top number. Now, if it's an infant, let's say there's 1 infant, that reduces the amount of children to 4. So it all depends on the age of the children.
How many do you anticipate taking care of?
No more than 6.
Okay, and would any of those children be your own children?
Yes. So I do have a 1-year-old at home that I take care of.
So at most, you would have 5 other children.
Yes, correct.
What would be your hours of operation?
Currently thinking 7:30 to 6, but I would like to do it need-based. But I would like to stick to those times.
And I think you referenced this before, but how many parking spaces does your home currently have?
3 parking spaces off the street.
Right, and one is inside of the garage at the home,
Yes,
and then you have 2 other spaces in your driveway, is that correct?
yes, correct.
Can you explain to the board what your plan will be in terms of pickup and drop-off of children?
So for pickup and drop off, I plan on having the parents use the 2 spaces in the driveway. We're gonna do staggered times, so no more than 2 parents at the home at the same time, for pickup or for drop off.
And is that because you do not want to have any traffic in the street?
That is correct. No traffic and nobody parked off the street.
Will you have any outdoor signage of any kind?
No,
And will you do any modifications to the exterior of the dwelling that could make your residential home not look like a residential home.
No.
So no neon lights, nothing
No,
like
I
that.
like my home how it is. Keep it like that.
Okay, thank you. Now, we saw pictures in applicant's exhibit number 3 of your backyard, and your backyard currently isn't fenced, correct?
Correct.
As part of the requirements, with the state licensing requirements with the state, do you believe that they would make you fence in your backyard?
Yes, I believe they will make us fence the backyard.
All right. And if the board made that a condition today, you would have no objection to that?
No objection.
Right. Do you believe there's a need for the type of daycare that you're requesting the board grant you authorization to pursue at your home?
Yes, I do. I feel like there is a need. I actually have one neighbor told me that she didn't have a family daycare around her and she would have to drive an hour to take her kids to a place where they felt, you know, in a home environment. So she motivated me even more to do this.
Do you believe that the operation of the daycare that you're proposing would have any negative impact on the community?
No. Just here to help the community. Help the children.
All right, and I don't know if I asked it before, but I think it was referenced in Mr. Hoag's letter. You are currently residing in the home, is that correct?
Yes,
All right,
that's correct.
that is your residence?
Mhm.
All right,
That's my home.
all right. I do not have any further questions for this
Could
witness.
you define that question that Mr. Hoag here has under number 4 about rental? Explain how the question came up and what the answer is, because I didn't hear the answer.
Well, I think Mr. Hoag's question, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hoag, is that on the parcel search for the county, it currently shows that the owner, that the address listed on the parcel search is somewhere not in Berks County.
That's correct, yeah.
All right, and you wanted some testimony today to indicate that Ms. Arias was actually living in the home and that this was not a rental property.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. I believe that question can be answered by the following. When the county records are not always accurate and they take some time to update when somebody moves in. So she's moved in, the mailing address, I believe, has changed. They just have not updated their system yet.
And Mr. Hoag, all you were looking for is to confirm that she's actually residing in the house.
Right, yeah, just confirmation, yeah.
Not renting,
Not
or
renting.
Yeah.
just using it as a business location.
Right.
Right.
I think that's correct.
All right, and just to confirm that, again, I believe you said this already, Ms. Ayers, but that is correct, is that right? You live there with your family?
Yes,
Your
correct.
family, it's you, your husband, and 2 children?
Yes, correct.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Do you want to, anything else you want to do?
Not yet.
So at this point in time, then we will ask the board members if they have any questions, so please.
Okay, yeah. You intend to continue living there, obviously, with your husband and family. The limit of 6 is due to the fact that there's only one supervising person there. If this turned into something that everybody thought was the greatest thing in the world, and you hired somebody in, could you have 12 in the house?
Yes, if I hired one more person, I could have 12.
Let me ask a follow-up question. If this takes off and is the next greatest thing in sliced bread, would you remain in your home, or would you seek another location?
Yeah, this is just for me to start. If it's the greatest thing in the world, I plan on getting a place, a business place, and expanding. And leaving my home where I can live and doing business elsewhere.
Dan, can I add one thing to that?
Sure.
Attorney Mufti, would you also agree that any approval granted today is subject to testimony provided your client has indicated she does not intend to hire any employees, so if that were to change in the future, she would need to come back for additional relief?
I would agree with that.
Thank you.
Because of parking.
Well, and also the board can make any condition, so.
Yes.
And certainly it sounds like based upon testimony, that's an appropriate type of condition.
Yes.
All right.
Naturally. Robert.
I do have just a couple, I believe, let me just go back here to my notes. I know one of the conditions. You made a comment, I just want to make sure I'm clear, maybe I misunderstood. You said you have 2 children, and then when you talked about, and I believe one of them is an infant, but you're counting your children then in the counts. So if one's an infant, that means you could not have 6, you could only have 4 or 5 other children, but you have one of yours, so it would be then your child, your infant, and then 3 others, is that correct? Is that
So related children don't count.
okay?
So it would be 6, but I think because he's younger, I gotta check with the regulations here, but my children don't count, so it'll be 6.
So in reality, assuming your children were not infants, and you could have 6 plus your own children, so a total of 8, is what you
Yes.
believe to be the state law on that particular issue, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Related children.
You also mentioned the hours of operation as being proposed at 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Is that 7 days a week, or is that just Monday through Friday?
Just Monday through Friday. And that's just a potential hours, pretty much gonna work with the clients to see.
You talked about scheduling the traffic. Let's talk about traffic. How do you plan on doing that? Explain that process.
So let's say I have a parent, 2 parents can drop off 7:30, allow them 10 minutes, 7:40, and same thing for drop off. Space them out. And if they can't make it work, then I gotta shut the doors and tell them to go somewhere else. Those are the rules.
And all drop off and pickups will be accomplished in your driveway.
Yes.
You will not have, the parents will not be permitted to park on the street for the drop off and pickup.
No.
I think that answers my questions. Okay. All right, Mr. Muggy, do you have anything further to present this afternoon?
No, I don't. I would just move for the admission of applicants' exhibits
Any
1
objections
through 3.
to the board to the exhibits?
None?
All right, they're so moved. At this point, then, what I'd like to do is, so we're at the point in the hearing where, Mr. Muggy, did you rest your case?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Muggy has rested his case. This will give us the opportunity now to hear if the comments. This is the opportunity for comments. This is not time for questions, this is comments from the residents who would like to make comments to the applicant. Sir?
Yes,
Wait.
I was thrown by
Okay.
the,
So hold on,
Sir.
so, I don't know if you heard what I said, but this is a time for comments, not questions, right? So this is a time for a public comment. So, what I'm gonna do is, if you would like to make a public comment, you're welcome to, but what we'll do is, how about we just we'll start here and we'll go down the line, okay? So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna ask for the stenographer to take down your name and your address. So
Absolutely.
we'll start with you, ma'am, your name?
My name is Lucille Di Gianberardino, and I'm at.
Spell that.
I will spell it for you. It's DIGIAMBERARDINO. Is that helpful? Okay. It would be, I'm at 28 Dorchester Drive, so I'm 4 houses up on the same side. Do you need anything more in regard to identity?
No, I think you're fine.
Okay. My concern is several. First of all, this is a comment. I understand that the witness is explaining how she runs the business, and that sounds fine to me. There is going to be traffic up and down the street. That has not been there before. We have a quiet street. We're not connected to going through to a light. So we have a very quiet street. The other piece is that for me, I am not living, I'll let that for you, next door, but definitely there has to be an enclosed environment as far as the fencing in the back of the house. What my concern is, I walk every day, twice a day, with my dogs, and I see a lot. So as a result, my concern is how that traffic is going to be taken care of. I understand they won't be putting the cars on this public street, but if they're in the driveway, which is not a very long driveway, and I am walking, I would be concerned about myself walking behind those cars. So I am not against this situation, but I am very concerned because I've been living there for several years, and we do not have traffic at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the next young lady next to you.
Sue Bailey,
Sue
Sue
Bailey.
Young.
Is it
I live at
Susan?
36
Is it
Dorchester.
Is it Susan?
Susan.
Yep, so Susan Bailey, and your address?
36 Dorchester.
Bailey.
Bailey.
He is in Bailey, I know.
All right. And again, please, your address, 36?
36 Dorchester Drive.
Got it, thank you. Please proceed.
My comment is, my biggest concern was fencing and the safety of children, that if they're gonna be out in the backyard. Cause I know how fast they can be. And, you know, if my husband's out mowing the lawn or anything like that, I want the children to be safe. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, ma'am, your name?
My name is Cynthia Seves, S-E-B as in boy, E-S. I live at 30 Dorchester.
Yes, ma'am.
I also am just concerned as to what this does to our community as far as our property values and other businesses then thinking that our quiet little street that has been that way since 8th grade when I moved in is now going to be changed as far as just a small residential community.
Does that mean you're for it or against it?
Neither at this point. I want to be aware of the facts and how big of a daycare this was going to be. I came out as a fact-finding mission. What I have read was that it included your own children, which means, you know, then you would only be allowed to have several other additional children. And they are going through the right channels, which I respect, because most people would just have friends drop kids off and watch them, and you would never know. But I do worry about traffic because we have our street is 1 block long, and we have no traffic except for who lives there. So I like that there's no signage and, you know, quiet and fenced in, but, you know, I know there's a lot of rules and regulations as to square footage per child and exits and fire safety and education, childhood education and some type of childhood requirement. So as long as all that is met, then I guess I don't have to understand.
Sir?
Nicholas Sichak, S-I-C-H-A-K. I live at 33 Dorchester Drive, across the street. I have questions, I don't have comments.
Okay, this is the time for comments on.
Yes, I've been told that.
Yes. So would you like to make any comments, or you're good to move on to the next person?
No, I don't want to make comment. I have questions, however.
Okay, thank you. Can we move on to the next person?
Martin Welsh, 56 Shelton Drive.
Did you say Welsh? W-E?
Welsh, W-E-L-S-H, which
Okay.
is the street behind the home. And
Can I have the address again? I'm sorry.
56
Shelton.
Shelton Inn. The only comment concerns the fence, the need for a fence, and Cheltenham, unlike Dorchester, is a racetrack,
Yes.
okay? And once again, just considering the safety of the children and strongly feel a need for a fence, just so the children would not wander over to Cheltenham and then be endangered. And I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but I didn't hear any comments about the ages of the children that we're talking about.
Do you have any other comments?
Pardon me?
Do you have any other comments?
Nope.
Okay. We're gonna go through and talk to all the comments first. Were you over there a minute ago?
Yes.
Okay.
I moved over here with the other
Good,
residents.
good, okay, that's fine, all right.
This is the other.
Well, maybe you had to win.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on.
Shapeshifting.
Yeah, so are there any other comments? Mr. Janik, you're back there, do you have any other comments?
No, thank you very much for asking.
I'm certain. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk right now. So Mr. Mubb, there was a question that was kind of posed as part of a comment that was simply a question of age.
Yeah.
So can your client, who is still under oath, can she address that answer?
Absolutely. Ms. Agres, we understand the question. It's what would be the age range of children that you would be watching in your home?
So newborn to 6 years old.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear the answer.
It was newborn.
Newborn to 6 years old.
And I just want to, I'll make the statement assuage some concerns here with respect to the backyard and the fencing. We are in agreement to put a fence in the backyard. Quite frankly, we believe that it will be a requirement of state licensing for the exact reasons that I think all of you are concerned about.
And Mr. Buckley, one more question for you. We have another gentleman who would like to ask some questions. He does not have standing. Are you willing to entertain those questions?
I have no objection to that.
Okay. All right, now, if you'd like
Okay,
to ask your question.
I'm just trying to understand certain
Excuse me,
things.
can you say
I
your
wanted
name
to
again?
know, I'm sorry,
State your name again.
Nicholas C. Check. Okay. I wanted to know what a family daycare was, and I think it's been answered. This is just for kids, right? There aren't going to be adults in this daycare, is that correct?
No adults, just
Okay.
kids.
All right. And my other question was number of kids, and you said it was no more than 6, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Thank you. All right, so I think, I'm sorry, ma'am?
If, I don't want to interrupt you, but when it's time for questions for us, I'd like to have a question for her.
Okay, so again, if you have a question for them,
Mm-hmm.
all right, so that gets back to the whole discussion we had about standing, that you asked for standing to get those questions. But if you have a question, Mr. Bubba,
I don't have
do you mind if we ask another
No,
question?
not at all.
All right. So-
Thank you, I appreciate that. My name is Lucille DGM Berardino. That was the loan name. I do have a question. So she has an infant and she also has a child. So, and I understand that the board of whoever governs this type of place to have children. We then were talking about 6 additional children, am I correct? Compared, and then who is taking care of her 2 children if she's running this by
Okay,
herself?
so I think that was asked and answered. So the answer was that she is going to still be taking care of her own children,
Right,
plus she can have up to 6 more, for a total of 8. That is her understanding of the state law.
okay, that's a concern.
Thank you. All right, so at this point, I believe now, everybody has made their comments, asked their questions, and we are now at the end of the hearing. So there's some administrative matters that we have to take up next. Is there anything before I go on from the board?
No, you're on a roll, do it.
Okay, all right. So let's go on to then the next part of this, and that's the administrative part of the hearing. We have 2 borough employees, officials that are here for the purpose of providing some testimony about how we got to this hearing today. So Michelle, in your capacity as the secretary for the zoning hearing board, what are your duties and responsibilities?
I prepared a public notice that was advertised in the Reading Eagle on March 19th and March 26th of 2025. That same notice was mailed to all adjacent property owners located within at least 300 feet on March 13th of 2025 at approximately 2 p.m. And it was posted on the subject property on March 15th, 2025 at approximately 8:30 a.m.
And do you have copies of those documents with you today?
I do.
We'll mark those as board exhibit number 1, move them into evidence. In your capacity as the secretary for the zoning hearing board, do you have any further information that you would like to provide to the zoning hearing board today?
About 3 to 4 days after I mailed the public notice, I did receive a phone call from Mr. Welch, who is here in attendance. We had about a 20-25 minute phone conversation, going over the difference between a special exception and a variance, the requirements for special exception approval. He indicated he was somewhat appointed by some other neighbors to represent the majority, since he has the joy of being retired and having the time to do this. So I gave him a pretty high level, in some cases lower level, explanation of zoning, the zoning hearing board process, et cetera, et cetera. I'm happy to see he's here in person. Otherwise, I received no correspondence from anyone that I sent the public notice to, or that's all it.
And as part of that, let's just add to that, just so everybody understands. Under zoning law, a special exception is a use by right, subject to reasonable conditions. And so we understand, we heard the comments, we've heard the testimony, the board will ultimately be reviewing that and making a determination. This is not a variance where you have to establish hardship and things of that nature. It's simply, it's a use by right that's permitted, subject to potential conditions. All right. Anything further from you, Michelle?
No.
All right. Jeff Hogue, do you have anything that, in your capacity as the zoning officer for the borough, that you'd like to present today?
Nothing further.
Did you prepare a memorandum to the zoning hearing board regarding this application?
I did, yes.
Okay. Will Mark, is that memorandum dated March 25th, 2025?
It is, yes.
All right, will mark the memorandum that was provided to, as part of this application, as board exhibit number 2. Mr. Hogue, do you have anything further?
Nothing further.
Thank you very much.
Dan, I'd like to enter the application as
Sure,
board
sure.
exhibit number 3.
So back to Michelle as the secretary of the zoning hearing board. We'll mark that as board. The application will be board 3, board exhibit number 3. Michelle, anything further regarding exhibits?
Just that this was reviewed under the zoning ordinance printed January of 2022, which typically we reference but do not actually enter.
And we'll do the same here. That will be marked as exhibit B4. It will be referenced but not admitted into evidence. Mr. Mubdi, do you have any objections to any of those exhibits?
No, I do not.
All right, those exhibits will be moved into evidence. At this point, I believe we're at the time and place that we can go into deliberation.
We are. I think that we've heard enough, and at this particular point in time, we'll go into recess and see if we can reach a decision that we can announce today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So at this point, you can wait out in the hallway. We typically will come back with an oral decision today, which will be followed up by a written decision.
Yeah.
Zoning hearing board to order. Is there a motion?
Yes. Move that we approve the request of Lizette Marie Arias for a special exception for the property located at 34 Dorchester Drive to operate a family daycare at that property, subject to the terms and conditions to be placed on the record by our solicitor.
Those conditions will be as follows. First, you'll be required to comply with all state daycare laws and obtain the state daycare licensing for your particular use. Next, you're required to have just one employee, which would be you as the applicant. You cannot have any additional employees. So we're limited to the number of the daycare children based upon whatever is permitted by the state law. Next one is that you must construct a fence in your backyard in a manner that's consistent with the borough ordinance and with the state daycare law. And you have to pay for all permits that are necessary for the construction of that fence. Next one is that you will conduct your drop-off in the manner described in your testimony, and that it would occur on the driveway, not from the street. And it would also be staggered. Next one is you'll obtain the necessary business privilege license from the Burke CIT for the business. Next one is there will be no playing or playground uses in the front yard. The next ones are going to be the standard conditions, and you'll be bound by all testimony and exhibits that were presented at the hearing today. Next one is that you comply with all the rules and regulations of the zoning ordinance and borough ordinances codes that are in effect at the time of your use. Next, you must develop the property in compliance with all federal and state laws as well, obviously including the daycare law. Next one is that you'll obtain all necessary permits and approvals, pay for those permits and approvals that are required by state and the borough for the use. Next one is you can't otherwise change or alter the property in any manner that's inconsistent with this decision without first applying and obtaining the necessary approvals and relief. Next one is you have to implement that relief that's being granted here within 1 year of the date of the written decision, which will be issued within 45 days. Next one is if you fail to comply with any of those conditions, your permit can be revoked. And finally, the decision will be binding upon yourself, your heirs, and any successors that are interested.
Is there a second to the motion?
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board is in favor of granting the exception, and you can proceed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yes.